Hello guys, did you miss me? Happy Halloween! Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here, hi, welcome, and thanks for watching. It is so nice to meet you. This is going to be my last video for this Halloween season. I wanted to create a cake for you guys, but I am not going to be able to because my Halloween party isn't until the 29th, and by the time that I am done with that party, Halloween would have passed and I wouldn't have time to edit the video. In this video, I created 2 Halloween gift boxes that contain pretzel rods, homemade peanut butter cups, and hot cocoa bombs. I also included some cookies that I made, and I did create videos on those, and you can see those on my Halloween playlist. I have 3 different ones, so make sure to check those out if you want to see how I made them. I truly hope that you guys like this video. Please make sure to click that like button to let me know that you liked it, and also subscribe if you are new here and you like to see more content like this. I have plenty to share with you guys. And make sure to click on that bell to get alerts whenever I post a new video. Okay guys, without further ado, let's get to creating. Using my Wilton melting pot, I melted one 16-ounce bag of black melting wafers, and I just warmed it up until it was completely fluid and had no chocolate chunks left behind. I cut my molds into individual cavities so that it's easier to spread the chocolate, and I started off by spooning 1 tablespoon in each cavity and moved the mold around to evenly coat the sides and the bottom. You could also use a spoon if the chocolate is a little bit thick. Sometimes it gets a little too hot and it thickens a little bit too much, so you just need to cool it down a bit so it becomes more fluid. Once I was done with the first coat on all of them, I put them in the freezer for just a few minutes, and then I went back with a bristle brush and I brushed on a second coat to build the sides of this sphere, and I chilled it in the freezer again to firm up. Once they are completely set, I started removing them from the mold. I loosened the sides first to prevent the sphere from cracking. And when I pull them out, I only touch the inside to avoid creating fingerprints on the outside. And I also use jumbo muffin liners to help keep my fingers from touching the chocolate to avoid melting the chocolate, and then I place them inside of the muffin liner for stability. Before you can begin filling your spheres, you're going to need to melt the edges a little bit for a smooth edge so that it's easy to align the tops. To do this, I used a warm, not a hot pan, and I sat them down edge side down for a few seconds, and then I turned the pan upside down to drop the sphere back into the muffin liner. Then you can fill in your hot cocoa bombs with any filling you want. You could even add caramel syrup or marshmallows. After that, you'll need to melt the edges to your tops and then align the edges to seal them together. If you need to, dab some chocolate on your finger and swipe the seam all the way around to secure the seal. To make my toppers, I used edible frosting sheets, and I did get these ones off Amazon. I really like these ones because they're really soft and pliable. And then I just drew on them with edible markers. I used a fine tip to outline, and I colored in with a more fatter marker or even like a paintbrush marker. And on this black cap that I'm drawing, I used a super fine tip to draw on the whiskers and the nose while it was still wet. Even though it's black, it made it turn white because it's essentially like scraping off the black ink. After I was done drawing my toppers, I rolled out some white fondant and I just cut out the pictures in any shape that I wanted, and I just applied them to the fondant. For this one, I didn't even really need to use water because the edible sheet is so pliable and so soft, it just naturally sticks to the fondant. Now I'm just going to design the tops however I feel like it. I melted some chocolate in some piping bags and I made sure that it was completely fluid before drizzling over my cocoa bombs, and I used sprinkles and my edible toppers to complete the look. You can also use icing toppers if you like. I got mine from Walmart. They're super cheap and they look really cute once you're done with them. I found this recipe on Pinterest. I actually made them last year for the Christmas season, but you know Halloween is all about peanut butter and chocolate, so I decided to make some peanut butter cups, but instead of in the smaller molds, I decided to make them in the Oreo molds, so they're a little bit bigger and a lot more indulgent and they look a lot more fancy. So I decided to make this recipe, and all you do is pretty much dump everything into a bowl and mix it together. If your peanut butter is a little dry and is having a hard time mixing in with the powdered sugar, I just sprayed it with a little bit of spray oil as I was going to help me kind of make it a little bit more fluid and mix everything together nice and smoothly. Now I'm adding about a teaspoonful of chocolate into the bottom of each cavity, and I'm going to kind of swirl them around the bottom, and then after that I'm going to use a paintbrush to paint the sides, and I'm going to do kind of like what I did with the cocoa bombs, and I'm going to set them in the freezer and then do a second coat. Okay, so now that you have 2 coats and it's nice and firm and set, you want to take your peanut butter and put it in a piping bag. Well, at least I did. And I warmed it for about 15 to 20 seconds to make it a little bit more softer so it was easier to work with. And I filled each cavity not too high so that you leave a little bit of room to add extra chocolate on top. You'll need to set these in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes so that they're completely firm and set. I created these little chocolate toppers using these little molds that I found. I only filled them up about halfway through and then I tapped them so that all of the air bubbles will escape and come to the top so that all of the chocolate will settle into the grooves at the bottom and you'll have a nice design at the end. And then I just sat them in the freezer for a few minutes until they were firm. Now that your peanut butter cups are nice and set, you can take them out of the freezer and begin pulling them out of the cavity. These ones are not as fragile as the cocoa bombs because they are filled, so they're a little bit more heavier. So it's a lot easier for them to pull out. So all you need to do is just loosen the sides and pull them out. And try to keep your fingers more towards the bottom and the sides and not so much the top to avoid fingerprints. I found these caramel wraps called Rapples in the produce section next to the apples at Walmart. I thought they were super cool for you to make caramel apples with, but I decided that I would use them on the pretzel rods because I felt like it would be a lot easier than dipping them in caramel. You do have to put the wraps in the refrigerator for at least a minute so that they don't stick to the wrap itself. Otherwise, you might have a hard time and you will break your pretzel trying to wrap it in there. So each package comes with 5 wraps, so it makes 5 caramel apples. But because you don't really need so much caramel for each pretzel, I just use a half of a wrap. So I cut it in half and I started on the circle edge and I wrapped the pretzel in, but you could even wrap it from the fatter side. Actually covers about 3/4 of the pretzel, which is how much I dip the chocolate in the pretzel anyway. So I figured that this is a perfect way to wrap your pretzels with the caramel. And then I just kind of warm it up in my hands a little bit to smooth it out and get rid of the seam. So now you're just gonna dip your pretzel like you would any other time and scrape off the excess and then let it sit to dry completely before you add on any of your decorations. I'm just going to do some drizzles and use some sprinkles. I'm just going with some simplistic designs. But just let me explain that I really liked how these pretzels came out. I think that they tasted better than any pretzels that I have made in the past because when I use melted caramel, essentially, it makes the pretzel rod a little stale, but when you wrap them with cold caramel, the pretzel itself stays very crunchy and lasts a lot longer. And I felt like the application process was just so much easier than taking caramel chews and warming them up in your hand two at a time and individually wrapping your pretzel with. I think that this is perfect. I'm not sure if these wrapples are seasonal and you can only find them in the fall season. So I did check Amazon and they do have them. They are a little bit more expensive, but they are available on there. But I can't wait to see when the season is over if they're still going to continue providing wrapples. If not, I'm going to stock up now. I actually bought a lot of them so that I had them available for me so that it made it a lot easier to make pretzel rods in the future. I also don't see why you wouldn't be able to freeze them to keep them fresh longer. So that's an option for you if you want to stock up on them but you don't want them to go bad or stale. You could toss them in the freezer and they should last for a long time in there. Now that I have all of my treats done, I'm going to package them up and create treat boxes out of them. So with my pretzel rods, what I did was I took some Halloween themed bags. They're the loot type bags, but they're kind of smaller than that. You can find ones like these at Walmart or even any craft store. These ones I had left over from last season, so I'm not exactly sure if you can even find these ones on the shelves anymore. But what I did was I took the insert to help me measure out the depth and the width of the bag so I can create my own insert with sidewalls. With my Cricut cutter, I created the insert for it and then I scored the sides to fold them over so that the pretzels stay in place and they don't move around in transport. And then I heat sealed the bag closed shut so that the pretzel rods would stay fresh. These are the cookies that I made in my previous videos. Please go back and check those videos out. I show you how I created all of these. I did make them a week in advance and I stuck them in my freezer so that they would stay fresh for these treat boxes. And I did that because it does take several days for me to make these cookies. So I'm just going to individually wrap them and I'm going to add them to the treat boxes because I think that they would be a great addition to these treats. Plus, everyone and anyone that knows me that has tasted my cookies, they get so excited, especially Danielle's mom. Barbara, she just loves these cookies. Danielle, it's like they melt in her mouth. So she gets excited every time I give her cookies. And then I'm just going to wrap up these cocoa bombs. This is my favorite packaging out of the entire thing. I took these little treat buckets that I found at Walmart. I thought that they would be really cute for this. So I just filled them up about halfway, maybe a little bit more, with some mini marshmallows. And then I wrapped my cocoa bomb in a little cellophane bag, the same ones that I used for the pretzel rods. You could get real creative here and create a bow using some ribbon or something, but I didn't this time. And then I just cut the excess off and I stuck the little cocoa bomb inside. I just thought that it looked super cute and it kind of contrasted with the topper. I know that in this one I put a bat with a ghost, but honestly I switched it up and I put the ghost in there instead to kind of match the design of the box to the cocoa bomb. Okay guys, well this pretty much is going to wrap up this video. I'm just going to box them up and add a little sticker to the top of the box. Danielle was super excited to come and get these, and her mom was equally excited as well. My husband said that they were also a really big hit at work and was asked how much it would cost to order something like this. Of course, I don't sell my items since I'm not a cottage baker, at least not yet anyway. I'm not sure what the future holds for me. But if you are curious, I would price these boxes anywhere between $40 and $45. Where I live, prices do vary depending on location. Anyway, if you'd like to stay for some home clips at the end, that would be great. I usually include them here so that my mom can see her grandkids and my sister can see her niece and nephews. Thank you so much for being here today. I really, really hope that you're doing well and you have a very, very happy Halloween. Please be safe out there, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye! You want to make a cocoa bomb?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
First,
You gotta pour the milk. It's kind of heavy for you. Go ahead, Dad. Oh, more. There. That's a lot.
and then
Oh, my microwave is dirty.
and let's make for 2 minutes. Here is the cocoa bomb.